distracted.
Okay. So what's it look like? Like what's the...
I haven't looked at it super up close. It just kind of looks like discoloration.
Under the skin?
Yeah, it's just all down her back.
Gotcha.
It looks a lot better. We went, when did we go? On Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's not in pain. I mean, she'll let us touch it now. She wouldn't let us touch it before. So.
Gotcha. How's she doing with the taking the collar and everything? She looks more relaxed.
Yeah.
Collar's still
She doesn't like it.
a
But
little bit of a fear factor. We've decided that we're gonna start just mixing it up a little bit too. So I mean, she has it on a lot when it's not tied to box or place or anything.
Oh, sure, like
like
just
that.
like have more exposure and stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know if she just associates that sometimes I could get zapped with it, but she's still a little terrified.
Sure. What's it, when you go to put the collar on, what does she do?
She's usually, so like in the morning when I take her for her walk, she literally sits in the bathroom. She'll let me put it on her, but I mean, she literally cowers.
Sure.
And then I feel like when you try to put it on her, she'll snap sometimes. Not like aggressively, just like get away from me.
Okay. Are you using any positive with this at all?
We're doing a lot of treats.
Okay. Treats or like cheese taken?
We're doing
beef, like roast beef.
Like roast beef.
Okay, so you're using good stuff.
Mhm.
Okay. How does she take it?
She loves roast beef.
Okay. Does she seem just as enthused for the roast beef as she would be if it was just roast beef, or is it like?
well, she like will like eat it like to shuck, like won't even like breathe when she eats it, just sucks it down.
Okay.
Let's
she-
put it this way, if you say the word, beef or bone,
Sure.
she knows what those are. So like she automatically will run for it.
Okay. When you give her the roast beef, are you giving her big chunks or like little pieces?
Little pieces.
Little pieces. Okay, cool. Just making sure, because dogs don't care about the size; they care about the rate of reinforcement.
Yeah.
So taking a piece like this and then making it into 100 pieces is gold mine. Okay. So all that stuff, and you can even change it up to like other. So it's not always. Because what could happen, and it doesn't sound like it would, but what could happen is the dog goes, "Oh, we bring out the roast beef.
That means.
This is what we're doing." Exactly, because it's like a pattern, right? So that I'll change it up. Sometimes it's cheese, chicken, turkey, bologna, pepperoni, roast beef, whatever it is. Always high value stuff, and she's keeping them. But also she's like, "Oh, I get all these different types of things with the collar." Every dog's turnaround time is different. I've had dogs look like they're shaking leaf, like the first class, and then they come back to second class like no problem. But keep exposing her, and then I think we talked about like her, like if she does any fun stuff, like having a collar on, like if she plays fetch, just playing fetch with her, but there's no collar involved, whatever. And then yeah, like you said, exposing her to it, but not always like we're going walking or we're going to do play stuff. So it's just she learns it's not always like you said a guarantee of something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? What do we have today to work with for the resource guardian stuff?
I'm just reading stuff over.
Okay.
So what's ironic is this one is masks. She got into this last night, and it was a perfect example because she went at him basically. So we brought that.
Okay.
We brought a sock, a bone, and then I brought a stick.
Okay.
She won't drop sticks, so she'll like guard those.
Okay.
That's gotten better though on the walk. Like that's not a problem anymore.
But if she'll bring a stick into the house, it's like
And you're trying to get it from her.
Yeah.
Which one is the highest value? Which one is the lowest value?
I would say the sock is the highest value.
Okay, the sock. And what would be the lowest?
the bone.
Probably the bone.
The bone. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring out the bone. And will she just take it?
I don't know. She might smell it.
We got better stuff in there?
What's the other?
Socks,
Sock.
tie, a stick, and then the mask.
Let's bring out the stick. Gotcha. All right. What's the remote section?
16.
We need a tougher stick.
And they snapped my heartbeat.
Saw the remote you just packed up.
Okay. Does she play ball or anything?
Yep. Punch her with the ball.
You want Leash. Now, does she ever guard a ball?
She'll make a noise, but I don't, let's just put it this way, I'm not scared to go in and grab a ball out of her
I don't
mouth.
think she wants you to throw the ball. The sock, she doesn't want you to throw.
Gotcha.
But she will make
There we
a
go.
noise.
Yeah, you can see right there. She,
Okay, so the stick. All right, let me see if we get some more sticks. Because we're probably gonna go with a few.
You're getting off this foot fruit stuff. You're gonna get hit. You come here, you're gonna get hit. Come here. How's her back look?
better.
Can you see it?
No, a little bit, yeah. There's still some red. But I mean, it's not crusting over like
Can you touch her?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so I'm gonna go find some sticks here. So what you're gonna do is hold the leash. Okay, so I'm hoping, because earlier,
You went to go grab it.
yeah, and that's why I touched it with my foot, because I wanted to see if she was gonna trigger. Okay? Because every dog is different. Some dogs, you could be across the room, and they could be over here and over there, and they'll charge after it.
That's how she is.
Is she?
So like today, there was like a weird piece of paper on the ground. I went down to go grab it, and she darted from the corner of the apartment to come all the way to tell me that that was hers.
What was the distance?
I mean,
I wasn't there, so I don't know.
what would be from our porch to the second bedroom?
A little further than this.
Oh, yeah, that's a bit of a distance there. Okay. May I see your remote? So it's set at 16?
Yep.
Do we know if we have contact or not?
You should. Let's see. I haven't tried it. We haven't tried it. Oh, yeah.
Well, that's fine.
Okay.
Probably there. That was 43. 20. There. 37. Okay. Let's go ahead and bring her out here.
Come here.
Drop it.
Yeah, because now she knows the pressure is involved. Hopefully when you bring back a new stick, it'll trigger her. What's the other stuff? The mask and then the sock?
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna bring that out too. Just throw it on the ground.
All, both of them?
Throw the mask first.
She likes to take the stuff and like run underneath the bed with it, so maybe since there's nowhere to hide.
She went after the stick earlier, it's just now that the tap's involved. Because even when I came over to step on it, like I saw the charge and then that's why I asked you.
Do you want me to let her go? 'Cause
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I wonder if it's because she knows I'm.
She's like, what is going on here?
I said.
Yeah, this is the thing, but 1 sec. Go ahead.
Disneyland.
There we go. Okay. I'll give this to you. That's it.
Just like, get me out of here.
play with her with the stick?
Mhm.
No.
Outside, I will occasionally, like throw it and she'll go after it right away.
Okay, may I have you try that? See if she'll engage with you?
Come on.
Okay. Clean the throat, yeah. Try when you got her to actually grip it while it's in your hand. Try to see if she'll do that again. Yeah, and
Throw it.
see if she'll grip it again. Folks, come here, get it. Okay, and then try throwing it. So, this is not uncommon, I say this all the time, is when we need the, we don't need to see the resource guarding, just so you know. I don't need to see Bogey be defensive. I just need her to show interest, okay? Because what we're gonna teach here is disengagement, okay? So I'm gonna explain everything, and I have an idea of how we can go over it today, but we can only do it a few times because then she's gonna completely not want to have anything to do with anything, okay? So disengagement is simply us backing away from whatever it is that she's doing and or engaged with, okay? So like if she's chewing on a stick and I were to say drop it, that would mean of course spit it out, but then also remove yourself from the object. Whereas for most people, they'll get drop it where the dog will spit it out, and then if they go for it, the dog will try to go for it again, right? So like when I stepped on that stick initially and she charged over, she was still engaged, because as soon as I made contact with it, she's like, oh, you want the same stick? Well, you can't, I'm gonna give it, and I want it too, and she took it and went and put it with the other stick, right? So disengagement is release what you have, or forget about trying to obtain what you're wanting, and leave it alone, okay? So if she's completely disengaged from something, and she's surrendered it, and I go to pick it up, we should not see anything there, okay? So super important that when we do this, we recognize if she is fully disengaged or not, because I've had people, they'll release the dog, and then when they go down, the dog bites their hand here, So when we do this, every dog is different. If I have a dog that's more intense on the resource guarding, I demand more space from them, okay? So like most dogs, I'm good with like 4 to 6 feet of space. Other dogs, I want like 6 to 10 feet. Other dogs, I want completely out of the room, just because they're that bad, okay? So here, I'm gonna try to find the number that's gonna get her to release the object. So like when I said, see if she'll grip it, right? So if you bring it to her and she will bite it and then play tug of war with you, that's actually a good thing, because that gives us something to it that we, like a controlled context that we can use to our advantage. When I teach the release command, I like things that we can repeat. So like my pit has a very good tug drive. So when I taught her how to release, I used her tug. So then we were tugging, right? On a low place, she's growling and everything. I would say drop, she release it. Now we reward the release with the object again. So then I got her to a point where she didn't need to have the collar on because it was practiced so many times. Because you're just trying to get Bogey to learn drop means relinquish what you have and give space, but it takes a lot of repetitions to cover it, which is why I said we want to cover this as soon as possible, because I know it's going to take time for you to try to get a reliable out, regardless of collar on or off, okay? The other thing that you can do is also teach things as being completely off limits. So if she's got the collar on, I'm assuming she just doesn't do anything.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
She hides in the corner like this for the most part, knowing like something bad's coming.
Okay, and did you guys do food stuff, like trying to teach her how to release? Okay.
trying to think what we've done.
I mean, yes, but not to a good amount. Like in the past when we did training,
Okay.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like if she had something, have you ever like doing like a trade or
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah, that's how we would get stuff. I would throw a treat on the floor and she'd drop the sock and go for the treat and then I pick up my sock.
Occasionally though, she's gotten a lot smarter. So if, like, let's say she has, we don't care about a sock, but that example, but she got one of the socks and we threw a treat, she would just sit there and basically stare at you and be like, yeah, right.
Sure. Okay, so let's grab, I'm gonna have you keep this stick, not break it in half, keep it full.
Okay.
And we'll bring her over here with the leash. And I'm gonna have you just try to engage her and get her to play, fight the stick in and like fight a little bit.
The reason I broke it is because when she hears the sound of it breaking, that's when she.
Does she like it more?
Yeah. I mean, I can break off like a little cord.
Yeah, that's right.
Folks, come here.
What is that? Go get it. Go get it.
Stick. Come here. Come on, it's okay.
Does she chew any kind of like no hides or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, like our bone that she has, she'll chew on that.
That, okay. Keep trying to engage with her.
Hey, can you stop being schizo and show your crazy side? Hey, folks, go get the stick.
Go get it. Go get it.
What about this stick?
Nothing?
Nope. There you go.
All right.
We got something.
Go ahead and drop leash. And we'll just wander off and take it.
The other thing she does, which I think this is gonna sound really weird, is she guards places.
Yeah, that's normal. Or not the ordinary. So, I'm gonna let her have that for a little bit so that she can get into it. So I dipped this down to 25. Earlier, I think it was like 47 when she first started to feel the pressure in the beginning. It's okay. And because since she got tapped, she's gonna be a bit more apprehensive and stuff. So I'm gonna ignore her for a little bit, then I'll like kick it over to see if she'll get engaged with it. But when you're practicing this, what makes this difficult is a lot of times I see this, where the owner's like, Jessica's a dog or this, that, whatever. But if there's not anything that they're super crazy for, it's hard to practice this repeatedly. So if we always use a hide, she's not gonna want any kind of hide, okay? So when we use food type stuff, it's very sparingly. I might give her her bone and let her chew on it for 15 minutes uninterrupted before I tell her to release it. And then I may give it back to her and then just let her finish it. Or sometimes I might give it back to her and then a few minutes later tell her to drop it and then put it away. Or just put it away off the first release. Okay, so she's not picking up on a pattern. So she might think, well, sometimes I will get it and I can complete it. Sometimes I give it up and then I have to give it back to you. And other times I give it up, give it back to you, give it right back to me, right? We're trying to create a pattern. But you can, if you do it that way, it takes so much longer because you can only do it so much a day. And I might just give the dog something and not even ask for it and just let them finish it entirely, okay? So when we're dealing with resource guarding, we don't have to create the defensiveness, okay? We don't have to go and challenge her for it and piss her off before we use this. We actually do it completely outside of the context, okay? So let's say she was engaging with the stick and she's pulling at it in her hand, right? And you let her, you're playing along with her, having fun and stuff. And then I start really low, right? And as she's tugging at it, I'm tugging with her, I'm at 24 or whatever, and I just start tapping. She's still tugging, 28, she's still tugging, 32, and I'm just slowly tapping, 36. So eventually, you'll hit a number that she's going to remove her mouth. And as soon as you see that, I say yes, and I might throw the stick or bring it back to her to re-engage again as a reward. Okay, so what we're doing here is, the reason why we're not saying drop is I'm trying to find what's the lowest number that she'll listen to. Okay, because if I come in too hot, it's not only going to disengage her, but it's going to make her not want it again. Okay?
What about, like, so use the example of a place? Because obviously, like for instance, when we were coming here, I left my closet door open. She ran into the closet. I went to grab this cardigan out. She went right for my wrist. So how would you practice on that when you see that?
So she's guarding the closet.
Or my clothes.
Okay. So that one's a little bit easier. Pop her on a leash, call her up. You could use, is she allowed on the furniture?
Yeah.
Is there anything she's not allowed? Or is more by invitation?
No, we've been pretty casual about that. She can't get on our master bed,
Okay.
but I mean, we'll let her up there.
So every morning now, this is probably good, she goes, after we feed her, we'll take her out like an hour after we feed her, so we don't do it right away, but she'll run to the bathroom because she knows this is coming when she goes on her morning walk. And we'll like sit in the corner of the bathroom and you can't get her out unless she'll growl at you if you try to like get her out, but you have to get treats. And then when she's out, she's fine, but she'll snap at you in that spot.
Right.
So I'm figuring in the morning you could probably do that spot, if that's what.
Sure, so dogs are either on or off. So like,
Probably she sees the remote, that's.
right.
There you go, there's the look.
Right? So you see right there, she didn't care about it, and the moment I went into the space, she cared about it, right? So she drops it, she doesn't care about it. No, she's not caring about it. Great, great job. You know you're supposed to be doing this. So have you seen, there's a video that like went viral on the internet with the dog on each side of a sliding gate, and the gate's closed and the dogs are fighting, and the gate opens and the dogs stop, and the gate closes, the dogs fight, when the gate opens, the dogs stop. Okay? And you would think, well, if they're fighting when the gate's closed, when you open the gate, wouldn't they just
Go at it.
go at it? And it's because that's what we call barrier aggression. Okay? The gate creates two distinctive territories, and the dogs become territorial and are fighting. And as soon as you remove that barrier, now it's no longer two distinct territories. So then there's nothing to protect, so the dogs stop. So it's on and off. So same thing for dogs with resource guarding. I could have a dog with a resource, and I know as long as I don't try to go for that resource, we have no problem. But the moment I go towards it and I challenge the dog, we get the aggression, okay? So for you, you already know if she's in the bathroom or whatever, tucked in the corner, if you go in there, she's gonna turn on. She's gonna get defensive. But as soon as you remove yourself, she's not caring anymore.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
As opposed to a human, like if you're angry about something, you can leave the situation and dwell on it, so be angry about it. Does it make sense?
Yep.
Whereas a dog doesn't do that. A dog doesn't sit there going, you try to take my bone. You know, and they don't sit there and like let it fester. It's on or off. So what we do again is work with this outside of the problem. Is you could use a word like out or move, whatever your cue is. And we need to create a controlled context, which is what we're trying to do here, which is just not doing anything. So I would, one, make being on the furniture a privilege, okay? I typically don't care about this stuff. If you go online, it'll say don't allow your dog on the furniture, don't let your dog sleep in the bed, don't let your dog off the door in front of you, don't let your dog eat before you, like all this stuff. A lot of that crap doesn't matter. It doesn't matter unless the dog has a problem with that particular thing. In your case, Your closet, in the bathroom at a certain time, other areas of the home, she possesses, right? So then, what I do is make everything else permission-based so that you can cue her when she can get on and when she can get off, okay? So let's say she's got a really solid move. That's your cue for get off or get out of wherever it is you are. And you go to the closet and you go, Bogey's in the closet. You already know what you're gonna see, right? So if you continue to push that context, you're gonna get territorial aggression. If I say, Bogey, move, or out, and she removes herself from the closet and disengages, and I go in the closet, I wouldn't see anything. Or technically, I shouldn't see anything. Does that make sense? Because if she's out of the closet, technically she can't guard it. But that's why we have to make sure she's completely disengaged because of what we saw earlier today. Does that make sense? So for that, what I would do is teach her how to go up on the couch by cue and how to get off the couch by cue. Okay, so now you have something that you can practice, because that's what we need. We need something that we can practice and apply on a regular basis, because if you only do this like once or twice a week, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to get that level of reliability. You need something that you can practice on a regular basis, at least one time a day, that we can repeat several times, so that she's hearing that word or those words over and over again and being made to respond. Does that make sense?
She has the collar on for this.
Correct. So what I would do, I mean, you could technically use the place command as well, but
So here, this is a really, I'm sorry, I just thought of this. This
Sure.
is a really good example. This sounds so weird. When I'm making my bed, so and I'm talking about putting the, why am I?
Fitted sheet.
The fitted sheet on. There's something about that where she gets very, and this is a king bed, so it's pretty high. But as I go down to put the fitted sheet on, it doesn't matter where she is, she can almost hear that I'm doing it, and she will jump up and start to like get angry. So I'm assuming she's guarding the bed, but like any time that I make the bed, it happens, and she doesn't even have to be in the room.
yeah, so it's not the bed, she's not guarding the bed. She just doesn't like that activity.
Got it.
Because if it was the bed, every time you get on the bed, she would,
That's not, yeah,
yeah,
that's not.
and she would like hop on the bed and like back you off the bed.
And it's only with her too, like she won't do it with me. She's
What else does she do anything, like other things like that, like
Yeah.
similarly?
So when like, throughout the day, she'll sit by or sit in the family room where Katie works, and if Katie gets up and goes to the bathroom, she'll sprint at her feet and sometimes go at her feet, or she always walks her to the bathroom. When I get up and go to the bathroom, she doesn't move.
Or like sometimes I'll sit on the couch to do some work. She jumps up on the couch and sits next to me. If he sits on the couch, she never comes up there. I think she likes to keep an eye on me. I don't know why. But like she'll sit. I feel like he's gonna yell at me about something.
But yeah,
She'll sit by
she leaves me
me.
alone.
She's like your PO, man, you're on house arrest.
Like
she's
perfect.
like-
It is whenever if I
Goes
get
at
up.
her feet sometimes.
If I'm
growling.
sitting at my desk and I get up, it doesn't, she could be fast asleep. She will get up and follow me wherever I'm going. And sometimes she does knit, but I mean, I've read that corgis do that from a herding standpoint.
Yeah, where they bite is, can come from a herding standpoint, but her doing the behavior is just not acceptable, okay? All right, so,
That doesn't bother me as
It's
much.
just a weird behavior,
It's just
because she
weird.
doesn't do any of it with me. She doesn't like.
yeah, but it means something though.
Yeah, what is it? I can't figure out.
I mean, she's bullying you for sure. Like, that's all bully type behavior, you know?
Mhm.
Because, I mean, how do you feel about making the bed now?
I actually don't like doing, well, I don't like doing it in general, but I just feel like
Now you really want to
Yeah.
get it, yeah, right? And then like coming out the bathroom. Like now it makes you kind of edgy about coming out the bathroom or whatever that, you know, you're doing, where you're like, is she gonna try to charge me?
Yeah, snip at you.
You, or like if you're sitting down and she hops on the couch and she's staring at you, like I can imagine someone will be like, well, if I have all these other behaviors, is this one day gonna escalate? Does that make sense? If she's bullying you. Have you done anything to correct that stuff?
Just yell at her to knock it off.
So like if the walking around, no, I just let it be. Like if she wants to follow me wherever I go, then that's on her.
But she's nipping at your heels sometimes.
Sometimes.
Okay.
If she does something, like let's say he's sitting on the couch, I'm about to go sit on the couch, and she makes a sound or does the snarl or anything like that, I mean, sorry, but our cue is like, knock it off. Like, and she typically will back down when you do that. Sometimes though, she'll just get even more aggressive.
How come you said sorry before you said knock it off?
Yeah, no idea.
Huh?
Yeah, I have no idea why I said sorry.
I don't know, I just feel like,
'Cause
oh,
you
sorry,
said-
no, I said it to her, because then when I say it, she knows that it's like a mad cue.
Oh, but why do you care?
I don't know. Now that I know I'm being bullied, I guess I don't.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking, you know, it's because, and this is super common, like, obviously you care about your dog, you love your dog and all that stuff, but it's hard for people to separate that the dog doesn't feel the same, okay? Not to burst anyone's bubble and stuff, but when someone, oh, that dog loves you so much and all that stuff, like, if the dog loves someone, like, I've had dogs with, you know, licking the owner's face, oh, you love me so much or whatever, and then we'll bite them the next day over something that they do that they don't like.
That's her.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like, that's not a dog thing, that's a human thing that we create. But then it creates a complication within the relationship. Because, how do I explain this? We're complex, right? We have past, present, future, we have an imagination, we have a language, we have love, right? And then the things that we do for love and all that stuff. Whereas dogs are all instinctual, right? And it's, you know, it's not like one day she's gonna wake up and she's like, you know what? I love you a lot, and I'm a jerk to you. And that's not how you treat someone you love.
That's what I was hoping for.
That's what most people are looking for. So that happens all the time. And the reason why I point these things out, because it makes how you have to correct this difficult. Mainly because it's harder for the owner to correct their dog, because they feel like they're hurting their dog, right? Like even with the e-collar stuff, right? Like I'm all for like using positive and pairing stuff to help the dog get over it. But at the end of the day, if I'm dealing with a dog that bites me here and there and growls at me and snarls at me and this and that, I'm like, well, shit, we wouldn't be here if you weren't doing this. And I'm not doing it out of meanness, I'm doing it because I know the dog is necessary for the dog. Because another dog would just bite her and say like, cut the crap, you're not gonna do that with me. And then whether or not she respects that cue and changes her behavior is a different thing, right? So I'm gonna explain and give all these concepts. If they're easy to do and understand, what makes them complicated is if we see this, right? Or she's just like, well, now I don't want anything to do with it, right? And then when you remove it, she's like, ha ha ha, I don't want the collar anymore. Now I'm gonna be a jerk again, right?
You know, she knows when the collar's off, she's completely different when the collar's on.
Yeah. So, when it comes to, and I'm going to give you the potential risks as well, okay? But the drawback to this is if we don't have this on, we don't have a means of control. And obviously, if you noted, it shifts the dog's behavior, okay? Whereas she's like, okay, I got the collar on, well then I know I can't act out. And then when I have the collar off, I can act out. Is this tool that you can use is to bridge the gap between this and not having it on, okay? So it's like with speeding, if we know the cops aren't there, who's gonna give us the ticket, right? Unless there's a camera that we don't know, there's potentially no risk to speeding. So same thing for her. You can only use this tool to correct, in my opinion, when she's not got the collar on, or when she's trying to bite at your feet, or if, what was the other one?
Making the bed.
Anytime she's trying to charge at you, okay? The issue is you have to be a step ahead, making the bed, a step ahead. Is this what's called a bonker? Are you familiar with this? A bonker is simply a roll of towel. Okay, and you can use hairbands or bands or zip ties, whatever, to keep its shape so it's a firm and soft object. And you literally use it to bonk the dog. Okay, so like I had a guy, it was a husband and wife. They adopted a Shih Tzu, and the Shih Tzu was a foster fail numerous times because it was aggressive to everyone. Okay, so when this couple got the dog attached to the wife, And whenever the husband would get up to go to the kitchen, use the bathroom, come home from work, move from one room to another, the dog would get up and charge him and attack his feet, okay? So he's like, I can't even move around my own house without this dog attacking me. So with the collar on, same problem. Dog wouldn't do anything. So I told him the dog needs to learn that you yourself will correct them for doing this behavior with or without the collar, okay? So then he would have a bunker, he had a bunker strategically placed in a certain part of the room. So if he knew if he was walking into the kitchen or whatever, and the dog was gonna be there, it was gonna be readily available to him, okay? So if he walked in and the dog charged him, he would just stand his ground and then bonk the dog with the towel to correct the dog. And he would get the hit and then run off, okay? And you just kept repeating that. So eventually the dog was like, all right, every time you get up, go to the bathroom or whatever, if I try to charge you, you yourself will correct me. He stopped the charging. But with the collar on, he wouldn't charge because the dog knew.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
They're not stupid.
So it's like, let's say she tried to charge my pit. Like my pit was just getting up and walking across the room, and she tried to run over.
She's done that with other dogs too. Like another dog will like be laying there, the other dog will get up, she'll charge right at it. Where are you going?
Yes. Right, now if she charges the wrong dog, what's gonna happen?
She's gonna get her butt kicked.
Correct, right? But it depends on the dog's personality type. If the dog is a passive dog, the dog will take the correction. But I've been in homes where one dog will attack the other dog, and whenever the dog that was attacked were to walk in and see the other dog, they go into a different room.
You get your butt kicked once,
Yes,
you're like, oh.
exactly, that's dog. And then, you know, it's hard for people to believe, but I've seen this several times. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, that was the rule. That dog said, hey, I don't want you moving anyone around me. I don't like it. For whatever reason, correct the other dog, kicked the dog's butt, and the dog came in and goes, nope, I'm good, don't want any trouble, I'm gonna go over here, mind my own business. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So here, if she goes unaddressed, it's gonna keep happening, right? Now, the making the bed one, you can do with this technically.
I was gonna say, that's like a normal behavior that I need to do, that she needs to learn, go away, basically.
Correct, right? So what we would do is if you had this on, you'd go to make the bed, have this already ready, and when you go to move it, very subtly, right? And I'd already have this probably 45, 50 or something. So if she starts to charge right away, you're tapping. I'm not waiting for her to already be here trying to jump on my hand, right? So what she starts learning is if I hear mom making the bed, I don't charge her, I just mind my business. It's like, does she attack the vacuum cleaner?
She like will run up to it, bark, and then when it gets close, she'll back
She
away.
usually kind of runs away.
Okay.
When she's very intrigued and barks at it like crazy, we'll get like hop up, and then when it gets close to her, she'll like back away like.
Okay, so we can actually use that. So you can do this outside of the problem area, okay? Because what I wouldn't want is like you're trying to do this and then she runs up and actually gets it,
Mhm.
right? So I will teach disengagement with the vacuum cleaner. Same deal, she's got the collar on. I bring up the vacuum cleaner, I turn it on, and I don't care because she's gonna direct her aggression towards the vacuum cleaner, right? So you're just vacuuming 25, 30, 35, 40, and you're just tapping and bumping, and so eventually, maybe it's 45, and you still get tapped, and she walks away from the vacuum. And then you start to vacuum and move towards her to see if she triggers again. She triggers, you tap her, she backs off, she moves away from the vacuum, and she's like at a distance now. She goes, okay, every time I try to charge and bark at the vacuum, I get tapped. So that's teaching disengagement, okay? So that when you go to make the bed, and you have this already 45, 55, when she gets tapped, it's gonna be, this is like the vacuum cleaner.
What about, I mean, I guess, so like, if we were to try this, could he have the remote while I'm making the bed, so then that way?
Yes, and what you can also do is have a leash. So like, did we talk about the long leash?
Yeah, you ordered it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So when that long leash comes, what you can do is just have it so if she's blazing through, you have something to step on. So she can attempt to charge, because remember, this will only stop her if there's contact, and if it's at a high enough level to deter her. So if I'm assuming 45 is gonna stop her, but in that moment, she really just does not like you making the bed, you might need 65. So by stepping on the leash, it still allows her to charge towards the room, but limits her being able to actually get to you in the room. Does that make sense? Same concept. But I would do controlled contacts first with the vacuum cleaner, get an idea of what does she need to break away from this thing. If there's anything else that's very similar, the dishwasher, hair dryer, anything like that that you know she does not like and she will target the object, you can use that to teach disengagement and then take that information and go, we're gonna use this for making the bed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of this.
Yeah.
She hates the iPhone.
Yeah, that's just the phone ringing, I don't know.
What does she do with the iPhone?
Anytime my phone rings.
Or if here's a phone on TV, she'll run up and just start barking, because she thinks someone's, I think she thinks
I think
someone's
she
here.
thinks it's a doorbell or something.
Sure. You know, so just pop it down, call the phone, she charges, controlled contacts, okay? So, because this way, I'm not worried if she bites the vacuum cleaner. I'm not worried if she bites, you know, a broom or whatever. And then I get all that down so that I go, okay, cool, 45, 55 is our typical range. So when you go to make the bed, I'd already get the higher 55 range. And we don't know. So you can do two things here. You can teach the disengagement, and if you want to put a word to it, like no, that's fine. The only reason why I would suggest, I don't like using words, but the only reason I would suggest it in your case is so you have some kind of verbal control. I prefer the dog not perform behavior, period. Okay, so a verbal cue may mean you'll need to cue her every time. So every time you make the bet, she'll charge and you'll have to say no. Whereas I would want to learn, just don't charge me, period. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So when you want to eliminate something, you simply correct with no warning. When you want to control something, you give a cue and then you correct. So for instance, with the vacuum cleaner, if you bring it out and you want her to stop barking, you would say no first and then correct her. And then you keep vacuuming. But the next time you vacuum, she's probably going to come bark at it again. You would say no, she stops barking. And that would be a forever pattern. If I want her to stop barking at the vacuum cleaner completely, no words. As soon as she charges, tap. So she thinks, oh crap, if I try to charge the vacuum cleaner, this automatically happens, and the only way to avoid it is not to charge the vacuum cleaner. Does that make sense? Because for a human, you could tell someone like, hey, like, you know, don't run and scream at a cop, right? Or you'll go to jail. And they just know not to do that going forward. Dogs aren't like that. Dogs are, I can do this until I hear this word, and then the consequence happens. Or it's, I do the behavior and consequence happens, so the only way to avoid it is don't do the behavior. Does that make sense? So you would want to do a mixture of both. Ideally, you want to eliminate these behaviors, but at the same time, you want to cue just in case you find yourself in the position of, we don't have what to call her. And that's why the practice and repetition is so important. So that it's so ingrained in her head that 3 months from now, if something happens and you don't know, she just cuts the crap and walks off. There's no argument. So when you said your cue is knock it off, right? And that sometimes she escalates, it's are you yelling knock it off, or?
I'm
Yeah.
very stern, I would say.
Okay, you're ever angry or upset?
All the time.
Sure, I mean, it's okay. So the reason why that happens is because you're trying to use sound to stop her, and then you get frustrated because she does it, so you increase your intensity. So it's like more threatening, so then she becomes more defensive. When we do this stuff, it's just no. Drop it. Out. I'm always neutral. This yells for me. Okay? So when you're doing this exercise, leave emotion completely out of it. Okay? This is your emotion. This is your power. This is everything. So that this way, when you go no, and she gets an 85 hit, no, now is powered by 85. So if one day I went no, it's going to actually be more impactful. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm just using no and it's a harsh hit, she's like, well crap, if no is this number and I hear no, what does that mean? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So repeating, yelling, getting frustrated intensifies the situation. Okay, it's normal, happens with everybody. That's why I do this. So like I have another client right now. They have a Great Dane. Dog's name is Dexter. The dog bit the husband pretty good in the hand because he tried to pull him off the couch when you don't want to get off the couch. Okay, And they had their first lesson a couple weeks ago, and he's like, this is amazing. He's like, we're not gonna have to yell at our dog anymore. He's like, this is gonna stop everything. I'm like, exactly. He's like, because we were creating intensity from the dog because they're so frustrated yelling at the dog, and the dog's barking and lunging back at them. I'm like, yeah, because you're just barking at each other. But now you can actually bite your dog. And that's what empowers what you say. That's why I tell people, don't repeat, don't give your dog the opportunity to avoid the collar. Always use the collar, go high if you need to, or as high as needed, because you're trying to prove a point to the dog. Whereas like, when I tell you once and you do it. Otherwise, when we get up and when we're in these situations and it's like, oh shit, she's got like something she can't have because it's dangerous, and you tell her to release it, so I'm like, whatever. Because you always give me a lot of opportunities to avoid the collar anyways, right? Or you don't go high enough on the collar to make me respond anyways. Why should I give this up? Does that make sense? So you're not being mean to your dog, but obviously if you want to stop all this nonsense, you have to be very direct. And don't worry about how she feels about it. Don't worry about she's tucked in the corner stuff. The only thing that you have to worry about is if she's tucked in the corner and you go to call at her or something, that she might be defensive. Okay? So as soon as she starts to see like, holy crap, like, you guys are kind of assholes. We see things change, you know, because you're trying to be nice to your dog because you love your dog, but for her, she doesn't think that way, nor does she reciprocate that. Does that make sense? And I had another case yesterday, a little Boston Terrier. Bit the owner several times on the legs because when he sees a dog, he goes crazy and he just tries to bite them. Like, and they're being like super nice and like, it's okay, you know, like coddling. I'm like, why are you doing that, man? That's how I fucking bite you. And just bite you. Yeah, like, why are you being nice to the dog, you know? It's because how we're brought up. So I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm trying to remove that stuff so that you're able to be direct with your dog and just give the consequence and stuff, okay? So what I would try to do this week is control context first. Use the vacuum cleaner. If there's anything else you can think of, use that to your advantage as well to figure out what does she need to disengage and not care about it anymore. So if you're vacuuming and you disengage her, right, and I'll kind of come over where she's at and I'm vacuuming towards her, you should just see her want to move away from it. Okay, if she's just clearing the area and she's like staying 10 feet away, she's like, I want nothing to do with that vacuum cleaner, that's what you're trying to achieve. Okay, take that, okay, let that sit. The next day, try maybe with the bed thing again. Use your long leash in case you have to step on something, you have something available to you. Because the last thing I would want, and that's what happened, but like, let's say she charged and there was nothing on her, and then she decides to make contact, well now you're screaming and now it's a big whole spiel. Whereas with the leash, it allows you to limit how much you can do, okay? Same thing, correct her. The moment you hear her, pat her across the house, right there is when you start, and you would hear her take the correction and go in a different room. Maybe she tries to keep charging, keep tapping, bumping if needed. She might yip and run away all the way in the corner, and you just let her take it, let her process it. Don't try to make her feel better after it, okay? Look at your number, what do we need? Okay, a couple days later, try it again, okay? Because dogs are all about repetition. And then if you start to see like, yeah, it's been weeks and months of us doing this, and she just even call her off, she just absolutely does not care about me making the bed, great, that problem's been addressed. What's the other one, okay? For the resource guarding stuff, see how she does at home. See how she does at home. Get her used to having things with the collar on. Okay, I wouldn't worry so much about trying to do the release quite yet. I want her to get used to having something and actually enjoying it with the collar on, so that we can, once we get that consistently, because like even here, like she goes, she just drops it.
Yeah.
So we can start layering in the collar to get her to release it. When it comes to getting her to leave an object or remove herself, on the couch with the leash on, have your working number already set, so it's 30, 35, whatever the lowest number is, up and tapping to bring her up on the couch. Okay, wait a moment. Off or move, tapping, and a little bit of pressure to bring her off the couch. Okay, wait a moment. Up, tapping, kind of like the place command. Going up, right? And you keep repeating this. And what I would do is make her going on the couch be a privilege so that you have control, so you can tell her when she goes up and when she goes off, okay? So if you use the word move and you're practicing and conditioning this, and then in a few weeks you come to the closet, oh, Bogey's in the closet, move. She gets out, okay? Because you cannot make Bogey accept you entering and sharing the closet space. We can't make her do that, it's not a thing. If your dogs are resource guard or in guard spaces, you need to remove them so that this way there's nothing to guard, right? The other option or workaround would be you have, your treat or whatever, you would call her out like you were doing before and you throw the treat and she goes after it. But that's what you were doing essentially with the sock when you said, yeah, we grab something, we throw it. And she'd go after it. When she would go after it, I would pick up the object because you disengaged her from the object. So this is the same kind of concept, except it's you have to do this because I told you and pressure will kick in. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So the main things I focus on is vacuum cleaner. If that goes well, anything else similar to vacuum cleaner, repeat that process. If that's going well, then you go to making the bed exercise. That's going well. You can do the up and off exercise at the same time. You don't have to do one before the other, okay? Then it would be up and have her just rest with you for like 30 minutes and then randomly off, tap to get her to come off. Because if it's up, off, up, off, up, off, it's going to be like the place command where she's going to get kind of paranoid. So then I'd leave her up and she just hangs out with you for a bit. If she tries to jump off without permission, you would treat it like place command and remote her back up again. Wait 10 minutes later or something, off, tap, boom, okay? You're gonna feel like a jerk, but that's how this works. Is you have to tell her, no, I told you to get up here, and as long as I told you to get up here, your job is to stay up here, and when I tell you to get off, you can remove yourself. And once we see that, where you say off, and she's just hopping off, no problem, then we keep rehearsing and see, will it become applicable when we need it? So if one day she's in the closet and you say move or off, and she's in there, what does that tell us? And she doesn't come out, what does that tell us?
She hasn't learned her lesson.
She hasn't learned it, right? You have to condition more, you have to practice more. In that meantime, if you come across where you're in a situation where she's in the closet and you go move, and she doesn't move, I don't repeat it, I don't yell, I don't get louder. I would go and find something, your treat or chicken, whatever, Bogey, right? Move, toss it, she goes after it, go in the closet, okay? It's a workaround until you get her to the point where you can say move and she just exits the closet. Same thing with technically speaking with the bathroom thing. If I said move and she got out of the bathroom and was into the social space, I wouldn't anticipate to see defensiveness there. Because that's why you're seeing it in the first place. If she's already in the bathroom going, I want nothing to do with what we're doing right now. So then when you come in, she's like, hey, I'm already telling you I want nothing to do with this because I'm hiding in here, we're gonna see defensiveness. If you remove her out of that context and she's in this space, I wouldn't anticipate seeing that behavior.
Once she leaves the bathroom, she goes in her bedroom, she's fine.
She's fine, yeah, because remember, on and off. So when you see her and you're like, yeah, this kind of looks like Bogey in that state, you want to remove her one way or another. I don't care if you're using food or if you use your term of move, if it's effective at that time. It's just you're trying to remove her from that position because mentally she will be defensive. So once you pull her out, you technically shouldn't see anything, okay? So these are things that we're addressing the issue, but at the same time they're like workarounds because we cannot make her accept you being in the space when she doesn't want you to be in the first place. Does that make sense?
I think another thing we can probably do is, so he works out of our guest bedroom, and that's the bed she can get under. She loves to go under there. She loves to tear stuff up. She loves to bring toys under there.
We've kept her out of there.
We tried to keep her out of there since you told us not to obviously let her in there. But during the day, we could put the collar on her, have her go under there and practice the
Because when she we'll be in there, I'll have the door closed, Kitty will walk by the door, she'll sprint outside onto the bed and to the door being like, I want to follow her. But I'll have the door closed because we're both working, but she'll literally sprint outside under the bed into the door being like, she's going to the bathroom, I can hear her. or like she'll move the chair and she'll come out being like, uh-oh, mom's moving.
Sure.
But if I do it, she'll get her.
Sure. The other thing I would do is have bonkers ready in case you don't have this. Okay? I have 3 videos that I can send you, how to make one, how to use one, and a trainer actively using one. The third one is the most important one, which funny enough, most people tend not to get that far. But the third one, you see the intensity of which he corrects. Okay? So the first one, they show how to make one. The second one, he shows how to use it. Now he throws it at the floor because there's nothing he can use in the moment. Like there's no dogs doing anything wrong. So he's like, I'm not gonna correct the dog's not doing anything. But in the third video, you see like a puppy crawling all over the guy, and he corrects the puppy for crawling all over him in a disrespectful fashion using the bonker, okay? So like this way, if you're walking and all of a sudden she's charging at you, if she's naked with nothing, there technically has to be a consequence for that. Otherwise, she's gonna for sure learn, with or without the collar, you have a means of stopping me, okay? Questions on any of this?
Makes sense. She's special.
No, she's not uncommon. This is just dog. This is dog behavior. But to us, because we see them as companions, we don't really do it that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you leave 10 dogs alone in a space, like they'll develop a hierarchy. They'll start to bite each other, like bully each other and all that stuff until they establish who's who. I mean, even kids do that. If you put kids in a room, I think there was a study where they put kids in a room and so they let them be, and you start to see them like establish a hierarchy. It's natural to us. It's a part of a social structure and dynamic. But when it's hard for people because they're like, but I get this dog so much. Like I feed them and I take care of them and I walk them and I love them and I give them affection and I cuddle with them and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, but the dog's still bullying you, like because you gotta do that back. So we'll try these things out first, and then the hardest one obviously is going to be the resource guarding because she's not falling for the setup. Okay, so in the meantime, if there's like bully sticks or things like that she likes to chew on, put the collar on her and give it to her, and just keep repeating. Even if she doesn't chew, just give it to her. Okay, so that ideally one day she's like, you know what? This is 100 times that I've had this with the collar on, nothing bad's happened. What am I about to eat it? Nothing. And just let her enjoy it. And then repeat that. So eventually she's like, okay, she'll take the bone or whatever it is with the collar on, and then we can start putting rules to it. Okay? Anything else?
Got some stuff to practice?
Yeah. Good luck.
We'll need it.
Yeah.
You were very, very active today, Bose.